On paper, the suburbs promised peace, privacy, and a clean break from crowded streets.
Yet that peace came with a quiet requirement. You had to drive to live.
How did a housing dream turn into a transportation system, and then a dependency? Tonight, we trace the bargain behind the postcard, from front lawns to freeway ramps. Because design choices decide daily habits, and daily habits eventually reshape whole economies. Who gained room to breathe, and who lost access when everything spread farther apart? Oh. When a store is 2 miles away, is it freedom or a gentle trap? We will look at the builders, bankers, and planners who set this pattern in motion. We will also follow the families who embraced it, believing it meant safety and dignity. And we will ask what the dream required long after the welcome mat was placed. After World War II, Americans returned home expecting stability, opportunity, and a reward for sacrifice. Cities were crowded, housing was scarce, and families wanted space for growing children. Developers saw enormous demand, and they learned to build houses like products on lines. Outside major cities, farmland and scrubland offered cheap tracts for rapid subdivision building. New financing tools made mortgages easier, especially with federal guarantees and standardized terms. For many veterans, a starter home became possible with smaller down payments and steady jobs. At the same time, rules and maps often decided which families qualified for that path. Some neighborhoods used covenants, pricing, and lending practices that excluded people without saying so. Government and local planners promoted new roads as symbols of modern efficiency and progress. Older streetcar systems weakened, and many cities reduced transit investment as car traffic surged. By the early 1950s, suburban growth was no longer a curiosity. It was a national strategy. Television and magazines painted kitchens, schools, and lawns as the new American normal. Shopping shifted too, from walkable main streets to supermarkets surrounded by wide parking lots. Churches, little leagues, and civic groups followed rooftops, forming communities on the outskirts. Meanwhile, many downtowns lost customers and tax revenue as residents and jobs drifted outward. The suburban ideal mattered because it offered control after depression, war, and rationing uncertainty. It also matched a booming car industry ready to sell mobility as everyday independence. Fuel was cheap, highways were expanding, and distances seemed manageable with a reliable engine. Developers designed streets to feel safe and quiet, with curves, cul-de-sacs, and setbacks. But that quiet design also made direct walking routes rare, and driving routes convenient. The engine of the story is a chain of decisions that reinforced each other over years. Zoning separated homes from stores, schools, and workplaces, protecting calm but multiplying necessary trips. Mortgage standards favored single-family lots, while mixed-use blocks appeared riskier to lenders and insurers. Highway funding arrived consistently, while local buses competed for budgets, drivers, and political patience. The interstate system shortened travel times, and it made building farther out feel reasonable. As highways reached outward, offices moved to parks with parking seas and few sidewalks. Retail followed those commuters, and malls replaced street corners as the social marketplace. Each relocation made the car less optional, and public transit less practical to operate. A second car became common, then 2 cars became the baseline for many households. Garages and driveways were marketed as necessities, and owning keys became a rite of passage. Parents measured safety by distance from cities and by how easily they could drive anywhere. Local meetings often demanded wider roads, because congestion felt like personal time being stolen. Sidewalks were skipped, narrowed, or disconnected because planners assumed everyone would drive anyway. Bus stops were moved farther apart, and schedules thinned, creating a self-fulfilling decline in ridership. Schools consolidated into larger campuses, and yellow buses replaced neighborhood walks for many children. Playdates became appointments coordinated by adults because roads were faster than kids could judge. Even small errands required admission, from milk to medicine to a simple library visit. The gas station became as familiar as the old corner store, only louder and brighter. Police, fire, and utilities stretched outward too, serving more miles of paved. It did say cold blood dipped off in the midst of slight flowers. Land was cheaper at the edge, but infrastructure made that edge costly to maintain over time. Still, the model spread because it delivered what many people wanted quickly and predictably. Suburbs offered privacy, larger homes, and quieter nights after years of upheaval and crowding. Developers standardized layouts, making neighborhoods feel interchangeable and making expansion easier to repeat. By the 1960s, the car was not just transport, it was the neighborhood's circulatory system. Without it, work, school, shopping, and social life could not easily connect across distances. That dependence was rarely announced. It was simply built into maps, driveways, and routines. Some families loved the autonomy, while others quietly noticed how little choice remained. Traffic increased, and travel times grew, but each widening often invited even more driving. Meanwhile, cities were reworked, with expressways cutting through districts and changing who could stay. By then, the turning point was clear. The dream and the car had fused together. For those who could afford vehicles, the system offered flexibility and a sense of control. Older adults who stopped driving often found their world shrinking to whatever was within reach. Teenagers gained freedom with keys, while younger children lost freedom as streets grew faster. Families paid in money for fuel, repairs, insurance, and the constant cycle of replacements. They also paid in time, measured in hours behind windshields, waiting at lights and ramps. Air quality suffered as engines multiplied, and smog became the invisible cost of mobility. Noise rose near arterials, and quiet subdivisions depended on pushing traffic onto someone else's street. Public health changed too, as daily walking declined and sedentary routines became normal for many. Stress followed commuting, turning mornings into negotiations with weather, delays, and other drivers' impatience. The landscape changed as fields became pavement and waterways were redirected into drains and retention ponds. Local budgets strained under maintenance because more roads and pipes require more long-term repair. Property taxes and fees shifted, and arguments over growth became constant features of town halls. Meanwhile, opportunity remained uneven because credit rules, school zones, and location shaped life chances. Some communities cut people out through pricing and policy, creating separation without visible walls. Others were left near industry, highways, or flood risks, where affordability carried hidden hazards. Cities lost investment, and many residents lost nearby services as stores and employers relocated outward. The car promised choice, yet it narrowed choices by making participation dependent on owning one. Even drivers felt trapped when traffic thickened, and when every errand demanded another trip. Oil shocks in the 1970s revealed fragility, as gasoline lines exposed a system's dependence. Still, the pattern endured, because schools, jobs, and retail had been rebuilt around it. Neighborhood life moved indoors, from porches to dens, from plazas to private backyards. Public space became the mall corridor and the parking lot, not the old sidewalk. Friendships required planning, because spontaneous visits were harder when distance and schedules ruled. Many people found genuine community anyway, but it was community arranged around cars and calendars. Culture celebrated the open road, turning routine driving into a symbol of American identity. Movies and music romanticized highways, even as commutes became repetitive and tiring for millions. Automakers, builders, and lenders grew intertwined, each prospering when the others expanded outward. Politics debated gas taxes and road funding, while local fights centered on exits and lanes. Institutions adapted, assuming commuting as normal, and designing services for people with trunks and keys. Meanwhile, environmental rules strengthened, responding to tailpipes, smog alerts, and expanding paved surfaces. New ideas emerged, like walkable centers and mixed-use zoning, to rebuild options within suburbs. Some places added transit, trails, and sidewalks, discovering that convenience can mean fewer miles. Others doubled down on widening roads, watching them fill again, like water returning to a channel. By the 1990s and beyond, the question shifted from building suburbs to repairing their dependence. The suburbs were not a single mistake, they were a solution with conditions attached. They solved crowding for many, but they required land, fuel, and constant movement. Today, the dream can stay if the choices expand beyond one mandatory machine. Better streets can offer both privacy and connection without turning every need into a drive. If we redesign that postcard now, what would you keep and what would you change?